because, well, I'm feeling witchy. I am rather witchy. I think I think that's why I am so drawn to Halloween, not just because I'm an October baby, but I have always been very intrigued by unique characters and people who stand out and kind of do their own thing. Like any kind of TV show, movie, book, I'm always drawn to kind of like the oddball of the story. Um, and I'm thinking with my nasally voice, my first thought goes to that Friends episode where Phoebe has a cold and people think when she does like her acoustic guitar sets, she sounds better and she doesn't want to get she doesn't want to feel better. But anyways, Phoebe I think is like my favorite kind of unique character. If you've never seen Friends, what are you doing with your life? Stop this program and go watch it right now. But when I think in terms of witch, I'm not thinking, we automatically think it's someone evil or who's trying to cast, bad things on people or voodoo. And, that's not. Like, there's a lot of good witchy things that you can do for this world. And I think there's a lot of good things about witchy habits or being a witch or what it's all about. It's very spiritual and earthy and kind of grounding yourself. And, we just, maybe like brooms or black cats and lots of crystals in my, if you're asking me, if you're asking Joey the Witch. So yeah, I just wanted to make a playlist that is, oh God, inspired by some of my favorite, entrancing female artists. Don't get me wrong, it's not all like women that I'm playing tonight, but just kind of put you in the mood of that makes you kind of feel empowering and fun and, well, witchy. So I hope you enjoyed the start of the evening. I started off with Miss Sade. Now, I said this at the start. I can't think of anyone who's more mesmerizing as a singer. Well, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of very hypnotic female singers. But I don't know. Something just about Sade. She's just, I don't know, like the way she sings these music videos is just like she's trying to, like, I don't know, glamour you. Anyways, then I had a classic, if you recognize that track, by Miss Tina Turner. I don't like to say the guy, the creepo of Ike and Tina Turner, but I just did. Cover of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, and that was off the Cruella soundtrack. Now, talk about one of my favorite villains of all time, Cruella de Vil. I don't watch a lot of Disney movies, especially, I don't know, especially when there's like remakes of all these films now, like The Joker, we want to find out where these characters come from, how they became the bad guy. And I have to say, whether you're a Disney fan or not, do yourself a favor and watch Cruella with Emma Stone. It's really good and not in a cheesy Disney way. The costuming's fantastic. The soundtrack is amazing. I mean, that song was off the soundtrack. So it's kind of based in London in the 60s. And early 70s. So you're kind of getting like this rock and roll mod punk thing. And it's really, really good. So highly recommend that if you have not watched it yet. Perfect Halloween movie. And then I had to add my favorite witch of all time, Miss Donna Summer. Something so entrancing. I couldn't help myself by throwing a disco track in here for you tonight. And then finish it off that set with classic Goldfrapp with Ride on a White Horse. I love that dance album of hers, Supernature. It's one of my favorites. From start to finish, that is a great album. If you haven't heard it, well, I'll play more from it. Not tonight, but another night. So, I'm going to continue with, going to take it down a bit. And you know what? This is a very lengthy playlist. I kind of got carried away this week because I was laying in bed sick and I was just adding stuff to the playlist. Maybe the medication had gone to my head, but I want to continue this track, continue the next batch of songs with a track by Enya. Now, I know you're thinking, whoa, hold up. Enya, this is new, Joey. What's going on? But I was doing an interview for the show. Yes, exciting things coming up in Electric Radio Club land. I'm trying to bring more guests on. Had a great time when I brought DJ Jesse on the show of Black Shirt Mixtape, who's another DJ on the station. And I want to bring more folks on because I love learning about people's soundtracks of their life. Anyways, I'll save who I'm bringing on in a couple weeks. But we did a pre-interview, and I'm going to edit it, because people have crazy schedules. Anyways, his playlist was the most diverse playlist I've ever received, and I learned something about the artist Enya. I love the band Fugees. That they're like one of my favorite hip hop bands, and did not know that they sampled an Enya song. And well, I'm just kind of obsessed with Enya now. Always loved her work because, I mean, she's a beautiful singer, and just talk about someone who's hypnotic with their voice, a real witchy woman here. But I am going to play this song called Bodhicitta, and I learned a little bit about this because Bodhicitta is actually a real person, or there's a couple different pronunciations of her name. But anyways, going to continue the party with some classic Enya. It's good. Trust me on you. Just the way they sing, like their vocals are just out of this world. And they don't even maybe have to be like a top-notch, vocalist like Adele. It could just be someone who has a naturally gritty, astounding voice where you're like, whoa, what was that? Like, that's how they sound. How cool is that? I can think of a million artists like that. But I don't know, Janis Joplin, she just she does it for me. And talk about an ultimate witchy woman, someone who was so rebellious during the time, gone too soon, but really just lived and did her own thing. And yeah, mad props to Janis Joplin. For that, I had some classic Cowboy Junkies. I know you probably know that cover, Sweet Jane, original Velvet Underground song. I actually prefer their version, Cowboy Junkies. I don't know. It's just great. And I'm thinking of the movie that it's in, Natural Born Killers. I don't know. It's funny how a song can take you back to a particular scene in a movie, but Cowboy Junkies, never get tired of them either. They're perfect, like a perfect fall band. Like they just want to make me like cozy up and drink tea, and I hate tea, and I'm drinking it right now. Not that you care, but I have to brag about this kind of tea. It's the ginger turmeric herbal tea from Trader Joe's. It is so good. And, well, I guess I had to talk about it because as a non-tea drinker, for anyone who just kind of needs that little something that's not water, if you're feeling kind of mucky like me, highly recommend, because I hate drinking tea. It's like drinking out of a brown paper bag. I think they said that in Ted Lasso. I'm like, perfect. Finally, someone gets what I'm feeling. Anyways, enough about tea. Before that, classic Fiona Apple with Shadow Boxer off that Title album. That album is just, it is perfect all the way through. I know I've asked this question to a couple friends about if you could write any album that you wish that you had written because you think it's so perfect. I've had a couple people tell me Fiona Apple's Title. And it is absolutely astounding considering how young she was when she wrote it. It's like, what was I doing when I was 15? Not writing a great album, I'll tell you that. And had to start off that segment of songs with some classic Patti Smith, Revenge off the Wave album. Okay, got about 45 minutes, less than 45 minutes in the show. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit more darky. Oh my God. More dark and gothic-y now with some tracks that I'm going to share with you. I know I am not as well as prepared for tonight's show as I normally am. I know I offer a little bit of inspiration or something, I don't know, inspiring that I've watched lately. And, since I've been sick, I got nothing. I watched the Great British Baking Show, which they have a new season now. And the bad thing about that, when watching it when you're sick, is you're like, now I just want cake and pie all the time. I don't want soup anymore. So that's all I got. But I don't know, since we're talking about kind of how I said at the start of the show, I've always been attracted to certain characters and stories or TV shows that just always kind of like stand out and are unusual. And I think one of the most inspiring characters that kind of led me down a path of being an artist is Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice. And with the new Beetlejuice movie out, which I have yet to see, I don't know, I think about, these characters who made me interested about what they were doing. Like, she was a photographer. Like, what was she taking pictures of? What was she looking through in a creative aspect? And so I have to ask you, is there any character from a movie that you thought maybe was kind of like the oddball, but you were really drawn to because you're like, what are they about? What are they interested in? Because, there are characters who are interested in certain things, like Lydia Dietz, photography, carrying around a camera. I wanted to know how to take pictures. I wanted to know what it was like being in a dark room. And I don't know, I guess to go on the subject for the theme tonight is, I guess I'm asking is if there's any character where you're like, this person really inspired me to, do something artistically, or made me want to pursue a certain type of subject or study something. And to me, those are those witchy characters, quote unquote, throughout films and books that, really have inspired me throughout my creative path. So just a little thought for you as you enjoy this next batch of songs. Okay. The congestion. All right. Like I said, I'm gonna get a little dark and gothy now, but in a good way, where you still can enjoy your evening and you're not thinking, good God, what is that? Okay. You're listening